Hey, this is Alex from Paintball 101 Info, and today I'm going to get the Dangerous Power G4 review up. I'd like to start off with saying sorry that I haven't got this review up sooner. It's not my gun, it is my brother's, and I haven't really got a chance to thoroughly shoot it and play with it that much. But about now is the time where I feel comfortable giving a nice unbiased review about it. I personally have about 2 cases on it, and he's got about 6 or 7. So more of this is coming from what he's told me about the gun and his complaints and his likes about it, with a little bit of my feedback in it. So we'll do an unboxing first. You get your Dangerous Power fully colored manual. Really nice manual. If you have any questions, it's going to be in here. Here's the gun. Silver and black. On the bottom you're going to get your barrel, as well as barrel sleeve and a parts kit, as well as a couple of Allen keys, which are not included. It's not what he gave me, at least. He didn't give that to me. But I like to say, be warned, this gun does not come with any lube, so they kind of leave you hanging when it comes to lubing up your gun, which is a hassle, especially because they don't really tell you in the manual either. So you're thinking spool valve, let's go with a nice thick lube, but that'll actually cause bolt stick, and I'll get into all that later. So, one piece 14-inch barrel. You got nice clamping feed neck, and this one does have the sprocket screw on it, which is nice, so you don't need tools to adjust your feed neck. Dangerous Power wraps ASA. I love this ASA. I got one on my SLG. Thinking about getting one for the E-Tech. Really nice on-off flip ASA. Don't have to worry about screws or anything. You have this really nice magnetic 3-point adjustable trigger. You can adjust it right there. It's a nice rake style. Reminds me of the E-Tech 3 trigger. Really nice trigger. You got a reg that resembles a CP Custom Products reg. Version 1, that is. So, you know you're going to have a reliable reg. You see you can adjust velocity through that hole right there. And you have your fitting out the bottom. There's the other side. You got your dual brake beam eyes, so you're not going to have any chops. As well as a nice little board in here. Turn it off. Let's start with the pros and cons, and then we'll get into maintenance, and then I'll throw in a shooting video if we have enough time. Pros of this gun is obviously the nice regulator, nice trigger, really nice ASA, clamping feed neck's a plus, easy to maintain, it's fast and very smooth. So put the barrel on here. It's also incredibly lightweight. It weighs just under, I think, 1 3/4 pounds. So it's lighter than a Mini. And of course the Mini is a huge competitor in this price bracket of like $300. If you're looking at getting a Mini, you know, personally I recommend it over the G4. And that's because I like the poppet valves. Mini's an internal poppet, this is a dump valve. But the Mini's going to be a little bit more reliable. You're going to have a little bit more maintenance to do, it's going to be a little bit harder to maintain it. But it's proven technology, it's been out longer. They don't have bolt stick issues like the G4 does. And they have a little bit more upgrades you can do for the Mini. But there are also a lot of people that do like the G4. Lengthwise, from the reg to the grip frame, it's a little bit smaller than the Mini. So size-wise and weight-wise, it's going to be looking at almost identical, with the G4 being a little bit on the lighter and a little bit on the smaller side. Cons. I'm not a really big fan of this barrel. You know, it seems to do its job, but it's so big. It's like, I think 6.94, 6.95. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But it's so overboard for paint nowadays. Just doesn't seem to work well. It's also heavy, but it is nicely ported, as you see. You got, let's say, 5 rounds of porting. 5 rounds of porting, so it is really nicely ported. Some other cons is that the bolt will stick if you don't lube it right. And Dangerous Power also has updates for the internal O-rings. So bolt stick Pretty bad problem. I know it kept my brother from playing a couple games with this until he got it fixed. But overall, it's a nice gun. You know, $200. So here's your board. Turn the eyes off. Blinking fast. That's pretty fast. If you guys could hear that, turn it off. So let's go ahead and bring the camera in, and we will do a bolt maintenance, and eye maintenance, and maybe Greg. Okay. There's one thing I really want to point out about the fittings on this gun. I don't know if it's just this G4 or if it's all of the G4s, but these fittings are a pain in the butt to get apart. I mean, they don't really collar back like a normal fitting, how you can actually pull that collar back. It's really hard to pull that collar back. So let's see here. I can barely even get that back. The collar likes to stick and not want to pull back. So you see, it took a lot of fight with these collars. It could also be the macro line. This does look like a thicker macro line, but whatever the case, it is a pain in the butt to get back apart and to put together. So I just like to put that out there. I'll just put that down there for the reg. So let's take, I think it's a 1/4 inch Allen key. We'll move the bolt out. Just comes out the back. I know for sure my brother will be getting the TechKey L7 bolt engine and bolt tip for Christmas. So you guys are looking forward to a little bit of shows on that. So even right now, bolt stick in effect. So here's your bolt. It's just a quick 2-piece bolt. You have your plunger and your bolt front. So dirt on there, and it's not a perfect fit. That's another problem with this bolt, is you can actually wiggle it around like that in the plunger. So it makes it a little less efficient. See that? You're going to have some gaps of air between your plunger and your bolt. That's basically how it works. There's no O-rings on here. This is a self-lubing bolt. However, because there are no O-rings on the bolt, there are O-rings on the inside of the breech. And it's hard to see them, but they're there. 3, 4 little O-rings on the inside of the breech, and that's what you actually want to lube. So just take whatever kind of lube you want and just swab it down in there. This may look like an O-ring, but it's actually a bumper for when it hits the breech wall. It's just to soften the shock up of the bolt firing a little bit. And also there are small bumpers on the back of here to soften the return. And here, hit the bumpers. So that's how to maintain the bolt. And a small Allen key on here. Take the eye covers off. The eye covers just unscrew. There's a tiny little set screw in there. Take that off. So here's your detent spring, and there's your detent. You can just go ahead and pop that out. And hey, look at there's paint on there from last time it was shot. This thing does like to break brittle balls, so if you're shooting brittle paint, look forward to some chops. And we can go ahead and slide the eye socket out. There's a little bit of paint on there, nothing big. Then you can go ahead and clean, with a Q-tip. There's no real paint on the eye itself, but in the detent hole there was. So, just a little tiny bit of swabbing will do. Put our spring back in, and we can drop the eye cover back in place. And that'd be the same on the other side, but for time reasons, I'm going to try and fit this all in one video. I've been doing a lot of part 1, part 2s, and people have been complaining about that because my videos are too long, so let's just do this all in one, and we'll take the rig apart now. It's my first time, so bear with me. The reg's going to screw out, and I hope I'm not going to have to deal with shims like an actual CP reg would. So I don't have that big of an Allen key. Really all you're going to need to do if you want to lube it is put a couple drops of oil inside your macro line fitting or your ASA and just let it shoot through. But yeah, that's not going apart. You could also put this fitting inside of a vise at the part with the nut, and then get a huge Allen key, probably 1 inch maybe, and start just gnawing away at it. But you know, for now, just a couple drops of oil in there will be fine. So yeah, that's one of the things with this gun I do not like, is that to really get deep down into disassembly, it takes a lot of torque. You know, the really easy parts are going to be obviously your bolt back. That's not going to be too hard to take apart. And your eyes aren't going to be that hard to take apart. But man, to get all this stuff off and put it back on, it's just a pain in the butt. You see, I can barely even take apart that reg. And to take the macro line off is even just a pain in the butt. So that's something to think about before you get this gun, is do you like messing around with it? And if so, how much time do you want to spend on messing around with it? Let's go put the bolt back in. Slides into place. And we'll screw that back in. Now I have a video on how to disassemble the Wraps ASA, but I'll just do it really quickly. So you take your same screw that you took your eye covers off with, and it's probably going to be the same one for your grip. You're going to remove the screw on the side of the Wraps ASA. You're going to want to have this open so it can slide out with less force. You'll unscrew. It's a pretty long screw, so there it is. Here's your spring, as well as your puncture pin piston. Your spring's going to sit on it like that. As you see, it's about time to replace one of these O-rings, because this O-ring's chipped. It's actually gnawed right in half, but it's still staying on by a little tiny bit. Then you have your lever, and that's just going to sit on there like that. So just make sure your O-rings aren't chipped. They will wear it after time, especially because these threads will gnaw them down. Something I'll have to tell him. He doesn't really know I'm doing a review. He's still in school right now. I get out an hour earlier than him. So I'll have to tell him that I did a review, and the Wraps ASA is a chip in it. Or I'll just let him find out on his own. But this is a really nice gun. Definitely don't just knock it out of the runnings with the Mini because I said so. Go to your local pro shop, anywhere really that they sell paintball guns, and see if they have the G4 and the Mini, and compare and contrast them. For a starter gun, you know, I'm not really big on this for a starter gun because it is a little bit more complicated to really get all the settings down and to fine tune it. And you will have a couple problems with the bolt, I guarantee it. If you didn't, you just had a lucky one. But Dangerous Power, they have good customer service. They'll fix you up. We'll back the camera out and finish up this review.